So do you think this is some of the drift between Mon and Tenshi? Do you think it's also partly a deliberate plan to spread the rumors, or do you think there's suddenly a big drift between them?
I think that again, it's quite difficult to tell. I think there is good reason to believe that there is a difference of opinion between them, and many people have said to me when I was researching the book that Mong'e, some of Tanshre's decisions, including the Saffron Revolution, this very severe crackdown. And one of the interesting things people have said is that Tanshre tends to take decisions very slowly, but when he does take a decision, he overreacts, and he takes a very severe decision, and that was obviously the case in the Saffron Revolution. So I think Mong'e and Tanshre do have differences, but I also think Mong'e is never going to challenge Tanshre because he knows the consequences if he challenges and fails. And he leads a very comfortable life as the number two. So I think they will stick together, even though they may not always agree.
Yes. And now, yes, we understand that Tanshre, a roadmap to the junta's roadmap is basically they're planning on their roadmap, and they seems to be determined to complete that. And with the 2010 election coming, and they are proclaiming that they're forming up a new government based on the results of the election. Do you think this is all a part of Tanshre's exit plan to retire from the military, or maybe to kind of allow him to get away with whatever he has done?
Yes, I think it's primarily about two things. Firstly, ensuring protection for himself, his family, and his protégés and cronies and people who are close to him. He's obviously keen that even after he dies, his family and close allies are protected. And secondly, I think he does model himself to a certain extent on the ancient Burmese warrior kings. And in Naypyidaw there's the statue of the three kings. And of course in Burmese history the kings had a tradition of building a new capital and leaving a legacy. So I think both the elections and also the move to Naypyidaw are about leaving a legacy, so that Tanshre in Burmese history is seen as the person who left this legacy.
Yeah, you talk about your visit to Naypyidaw. Can you also tell us how? How did you sneak into that Naypyidaw? I mean, it's quite obvious. It's very difficult for even an ordinary Burmese to get into Naypyidaw. And how? I mean, being a foreigner, how did you being able to sneak into that area? Yeah.
Well, actually, I didn't really sneak in. I simply went. I went to Burma as a tourist, in inverted commas, and I asked if I could. I asked a tour guide if it was possible to go to Naypyidaw, and I arranged it and went by road to Naypyidaw, and I didn't try to hide anything. I didn't sneak in. I just went, and it was actually not too difficult.
All right. Was it for a day, or were you able to spend a few days there?
I just went for a day. I decided it would probably be too risky to try and stay overnight because I was, as far as I could see, I was the only foreigner there that day. And I think if I stayed overnight, it might have drawn attention, and people would have wondered why I was there. So I just went there and back in the day.
How's the general feeling of the people living in Naypyidaw? I mean, are they kind of, very secluded, or are they quite kind of joyful and happy,
Well, the interesting thing is that there are very, very few people on the streets, and so the place seemed empty. It seemed deserted. The roads, the brand new roads, with very good quality roads, with nothing on them. There was a park with very few people in there, and I think all of the people living in Naypyidaw are either working for the government or they are the families of people who are working for the government. What several people told me, not in Naypyidaw, but other people that I spoke to who know people who live in Naypyidaw, they said that most people are not happy in Naypyidaw. They don't like it. One person I spoke to said, Yangon, Rangoon is the capital, should be the capital, and Naypyidaw is is a ridiculous place. So I think most people are not happy there.
Based on your information that you get from your sources, would you say that Tan Sri is very obsessed with, paranoid that a foreign invasion might happen in Burma.
I think he is, and particularly after the Iraq war. And if you read some of his speeches, which we quote in the book, he does order in some of his speeches order the soldiers, the military, the USDA to be prepared for the possibility of specifically an American invasion. So I think he does have that fear. It's misplaced. There's no likelihood of it happening, but he certainly has that fear.
Yes. This person, why do you think that generals in Burma fear him and are obliged to him and obeying his rules and all?
Well, this is a question I've been asking throughout the research for the book, because I couldn't understand why a person who really has no charisma, he has no personal ability to inspire people, why it is that he's been so successful. And also I couldn't understand why so many people complain about him, and they complain about him personally, not just the regime, and yet nobody does anything about it within the regime. And my conclusion is that the problem is really with the system, that the Burmese military has a tradition of you simply don't move against your superiors, even if you hate them, you just don't do it. Combined with the fact that Tan Sri has been very successful in creating a culture of patronage within the regime, so he's rewarded a lot of people, promoted a lot of people, so a lot of people feel indebted to him, and therefore they are loyal to him out of fear.
So would you say that Tan Sri is a legacy, or is a part of the military institution that's been ruling Burma for more than about 40 years now? Or would you say that he's an individual with a strong determination to rule the country?
I think he's actually both. I think he's certainly a product of the system, and I think that the problem in Burma is much bigger than Tan Sri, and if you get rid of Tan Sri, if you just get rid of Tan Sri, that is not going to solve Burma's situation. However, I think he is a particularly hard-line person in the regime. He's someone who really does want to hold on to power at all costs, doesn't want to compromise, doesn't want to negotiate, and so he is an individual who is exerting particular control over the system, as well as being a product of the system.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time and for all the information.